Hello everybody, and thanks for joining us on another edition of the program. This is Inside Africa. Addis Ababa is hosting a 3-day Africa regional meeting of the Global Fund on the theme strengthening partnerships for impacts on HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The meeting reviews impacts of Global Fund's supported health interventions in Africa.
The regional meeting is happening in Addis Ababa to evaluate what impacts its involvement so far has brought about and put future directions. Present at the opening of the meeting, Health State Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Kasete Birhanu Adamasu, said Ethiopia's health extension program has been bearing fruits despite skepticism from partners during the launching of the program.
We have seen remarkable progress in improving family planning service, in making sure that there is universal access to malaria control and case management. There is also, improvement in immunization services and in many other areas which we consider as priorities for the sectors.
The program has now become flagship intervention of Ethiopia's health ministry. Global Fund Grant Management Director Mark Eddington extended an eulogy to Ethiopia's wise use of funds.
Ethiopia has been the largest recipient of global fund financing, but I think they have used it very wisely. I think we've seen a lot of impact from the investments the Global Fund has made in Ethiopia, and I'm sure that we will continue to see increased impact over the years to come.
The director said Global Fund has identified remarkable achievements in Ethiopia due to the strong determination of the government.
As we look at the results of the money that we have put into Ethiopia, we set targets together with the Ethiopian government and civil society as to what our money in each of those diseases will deliver in terms of investments. And so I listed some of the targets that are there, the number of people on ARV treatment, the treatment success rate for TB. All of those indicators are moving in the right direction for Ethiopia. Concerning future interventions of the fund, Mr. Eddington emphasized there would be discussions with the government to resort for better ways of creating impactful activities. The Global Fund mainly focuses on health-related interventions in Africa.
Religious leaders in Nigeria are calling for the nation to unite after the latest suicide attack on a church. 8 people died in the blast at a Catholic church in Kaduna State on Sunday. President Goodluck Jonathan said the violence is threatening the nation's stability.
It was the latest in a series of attacks against churches across parts of northern Nigeria. This time, a suicide bomber driving a truck packed with explosives rammed into St. Rita's Catholic Church in Kaduna State during Sunday services. In June, 3 other churches in the same area were simultaneously hit by suicide bombers. And in the preceding months, there were attacks on churches in 5 other states. Reverend Baraji Maigadi from the Evangelical Church Winning All leads a congregation of 5,000 worshippers in the capital, Abuja.
What is happening is not actually intimidating Christians or make Christians not to practice their faith. In fact, in most cases, in the mix of persecution, the faith of believers are raised up. For us as Christians, we have a cardinal principle, and that is the love of God, even towards the enemies. Those who are considered the enemy, we are asked to love them.
But the Reverend says some churches in the north have seen a dramatic decrease in the number of people attending services because of fears about violence. Christians have also had to put in security in and around their places of worship. Outside many churches, particularly in the north, there's a police or military presence. And some Christians have reacted to the violence by attacking Muslims. In Kaduna on Sunday, 2 Muslims were killed in reprisal mob violence by Christian youths. Christian and Muslim leaders across the country have condemned the attack and are calling for the nation to pray together that the violence will stop.
Now, in the face of erratic electricity supply in some developing economies, the need to come up with other sources of energy has been reinforced at a 3-day ECOWAS Energy Summit in Ghana's capital, Accra. The forum aims at encouraging the use of renewable energy and to make it efficient across the sub-region. The sub-region participants are also sharing thoughts on ways to cut down on greenhouse emissions with the use of this renewable renewable energy sources.
The ECOWAS sub-region is endowed with renewable energy sources such as biomass and solar energy. It was realized that whereas Ghana is putting up measures to halt the use of LPG in commercial vehicles, the Director General of UNIDO, however, expressed satisfaction with that trend. He said the shift from petroleum to LPG in vehicles will encourage governments to shift to the production of renewable energy in the sub-region.
This is great news. If already your commercial drivers are saying, hey, it makes sense, I would say to Minister, hey, don't change the tariffs too soon. Maybe let them pay a little bit, but encourage them to do it. It means suddenly we leapfrog immediately to new solutions rather than this relying on petrol.
The Deputy Minister of Energy, Emmanuel Amakofibua, explained measures government is taking in the field of efficient renewable energy.
We think that there should be universal access in the country by 2020. That is the Ministry of Energy policy. We have to do that through off-grid systems, through solar. The whole act was intended to encourage the private sector to really come in. There are key features in it, which is making sure, for example, that real estate developers and others will be encouraged.
With the $50 million facility available to the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, ECOWAS countries are expected to make use of the money and make efficient renewable energy available to all. Esther Edu, GTV News, Accra.
Ghanaian farmers have been advised to join organizations where appropriate information on best practices in farming is shared. This is with the view to maximize production and increase income. Food and Agriculture Minister Kwesi Ahoy announced the recommendation at the 3rd National Farmers Forum in Accra. He stated that government's continued support for the development of farmers-based organizations to make them more competitive and effective.
The National Farmers' Day Forum is part of activities lined up to mark the National Farmers' Day celebrations. It was instituted to create a platform for the farmers to interact with agricultural experts and stakeholders on the pertinent issues relating to their activities. This year's forum was under the theme, Grow More Food, Strengthening Farmers-Based Organization for Marketplace Bargaining Power. The chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs, Dr. Al-Hassan Yakubu, congratulating this year's award winners, said government has put in place the necessary legal framework to improve investor confidence and accelerate technology transfer in agriculture.
These are to open up the sector to modern business culture and technology adoption so as to make Ghana's agriculture and farmers competitive in the global context. Our gallant farmers must take advantage of these developments to locate partners to invest in Ghana's agriculture.
The Minister of Food and Agriculture, Mr. Kwesi Ahoy, said the agricultural contribution to the overall economic growth and development of the country will continue to be significant despite the oil find, and that government is taking measures to implement appropriate policies and projects to boost agricultural production and food security.
The efforts in this direction so far include 1. Expansion of irrigation infrastructure to ensure all year-round production in the areas where water is very critical. Government has also started subsidizing seed, and most of the seed growers and most of you farmers will attest to the fact that this year opened the gate for the first time for seed to be subsidized to our farmers.
An agric expert from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Kwesi Amaza, explained that the farmer-based organizations play important roles in the activities of the farmer, and to encourage their establishment, the Farmers' Day celebration will for the first time recognize the best farmer-based organization.
Away from agriculture, the Ghanaian government is to support the private sector to access funds to expand their businesses and ultimately accelerate the development. The administrator of the Venture Trust Fund, Mr. Emmanuel Osei Akamwa, announced this at a roundtable forum for small and medium-scale enterprises in Kofarija in the eastern region.
The workshop was aimed at educating the public and SMEs on the activities of the fund and how they can access the fund to grow their businesses. The Venture Trust Fund was established by the Government of Ghana through an Act of Parliament to provide low-cost financing to small and medium enterprises and to promote industries in the country. The Administrative Secretary of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, Mr. Emmanuel Osei Akomwa, explained how the SMEs can access the fund.
We give technical assistance as well as the funding that we give. Quite recently, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ghana Stock Exchange so that companies, SMEs that have to list on the exchange can have that access to that.
One of the participants, Alfred Kisi, thanked the government for the support given to SMEs in the country.
Initially, I was thinking that the venture capital is a place probably that when they invest money, they do in a form of loan. But I've realized that it's rather shareholding. They come in a partnership that they have a couple of years that they exist. That probably they withdraw their money or their capital bit by bit.
So far, 500 farmers have benefited from the fund.
Leaving West Africa and shifting our focus away from business, 1.3 million children under the age of 5 in Kenya are at risk of contracting measles. This is according to the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. The ministry has embarked on a measles campaign to immunize children under the age of 5 against the deadly disease.
Parents and guardians of children under the age of 5 have been urged to visit hospitals and immunization centers across the country from the 3rd to the 7th of November in a nationwide awareness and immunization campaign organized by the Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation together with other stakeholders. This program has been instituted after it emerged that children from 9 months to 5 years are under the risk of contracting the viral infection. Already from January 2011 to date, 67 deaths have been recorded as a result of measles, a number that the health officials termed as alarming and worthy of the much needed attention.
A huge number of children who develop complications, who develop the disease, develop complications or die. And a lot of money is spent on treatment and children lose a lot of school hours.
The campaign is set to target over 6 million children across the country, with 10,000 centers set to be opened. The officials said that they intend to carry out a door-to-door immunization. However, parents are advised to opt for health centers. Parents of children who received the first dose of measles vaccine are also advised to take their children for the immunization.
7.3 million children under 5 years of age will receive supplemental dose of vitamin A, right? And those in northeastern province and parts of Coast province, Lamu, Tana River and parts of Kilifi district will also receive polio vaccine.
According to the officials, Kenya has maintained steady progress in the fight against measles. However, with the simple ways that people can contract the disease from each other, it is crucial that children and even adults who have never been immunized visit the centers.
Still in Kenya, 4 people have been killed in Kisumu City after riots erupted in the lakeside town following gangsters shooting dead ODM parliamentary aspirant Shem Onyango Kwega. Protesters engaged police in street battles and decried the deteriorating state of security in the lakeside city.
These were the scenes in Kisumu City Monday morning following the shooting of an ODM parliamentary aspirant, Shem Onyango Kwega. The lake city of Kisumu erupted into protests against the murder of Kwega. Residents jammed the streets, directing their anger to security officers who they blame for the increased spate of insecurity in the town. The murder of the businessman occurred in broad daylight just before midday. Witness accounts detail that Kwega was accosted by thugs on a motorcycle as he was driving to a bank to deposit money from his petrol station. His vehicle was then sprayed with bullets, swerving into a ditch. His wife, who had accompanied him apparently carrying the bag of money, was also hit and the money snatched from her. The two were rushed to the Aga Khan hospital where they were placed under intensive care unit where Kwega succumbed to his injuries. His wife was left critically wounded. The assailants are reported to have made away on motorcycles before hijacking a vehicle which they used to escape.
Raila must know this! Raila must know this! Raila must know this! Kwega must be alive!
The protesters blocked the Kisumu-Kakamega road for nearly 6 hours, with hundreds of them surrounding the Kondele police station, demanding the transfer of the officers who they accuse of laxity. At least 4 people were killed during the day-long fracas. 3 burnt to death after police threw tear gas into their hideout, setting them ablaze, while another one died after being shot by police.
And we are tired of Kenyans being assassinated every day. We appeal to Commissioner of Police, wherever he's hearing my voice, he must transfer all security personnel in Nyanza province from the OCPD up to all OCS, commanding all stations in Nyanza province.
Watu wanauawa Kisumu kila siku na hilo watu wanauawa kila siku kama sisi masojas. Situpewe bunduki basi hata sisi tuone vile tunaweza fanya kazi. Sasa sisi hata tuko security kulika hata serikali yenye iko na bunduki.
ODM has called for the speedy investigations into the motive of the murder of Kwega. Reports say police officers drawn from Kisumu and Nyando divisions are in pursuit of the gang. The Monday shooting comes barely 2 days after gangsters murdered the top AIDS researcher Joseph Odhiambo in Tomboya Estate, Kisumu. Odhiambo was attached to Centers for Disease Control, CDC. The scientist was accosted on the road by a gang of 3 men wielding clubs and pangas who drove him to his home where they beat him to death. The spate of insecurity in Kisumu appears to have caught security personnel in the town napping as gangs stage audacious attacks.
Now, Israel is accusing the government of Sudan of manufacturing ballistic missiles and rockets destined for Iran. This latest allegation comes after Israel jet fighters pounded what was believed to be an ammunition factory in Sudan. The Sudanese government has for a long time been linked to terrorist activities, and this new accusation does not come as a surprise.
On Tuesday, 23rd October, the government of Sudan reported an explosion in one of its arms factories in Khartoum. Initial reports showed that the cause of the blast was unknown, but the Sudanese government later changed this story, claiming instead that Israel had sent 4 F-151 strike planes to drop 8 tons of bombs to destroy the ammunition factory. According to Khartoum, Israel is attempting to weaken the national sovereignty of the Sudan. The government of Sudan has been embroiled in a not-so-secret war with Israel for a while now, with both states accusing each other of terrorist activities. The Sudanese government has, however, been linked to terrorism on a number of occasions. As it is, Sudan is and has been on a list of states that sponsors terrorists. U.S. diplomatic cables have revealed alleged arms smuggling networks running through Sudan, and in April last year, there were reports that a senior Hamas figure thought to be responsible for arranging arms supplies was killed near Port Sudan. Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir is himself a wanted man for crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court and has been linked to several terrorist activities. Although Israel has not spoken out on the allegation, one wonders why 4 strike fighters would be sent 1,900 kilometers to destroy a factory that produces traditional weapons. Analysts speculate that the factory must have had a considerably high value target for Israel, ballistic missiles and rockets for Iran. Sudanese Deputy Ambassador to Kenya Hassan Husman confirmed that Israeli warplanes indeed attacked his country, but however denied the allegations that Sudan was manufacturing rockets and ballistic missiles for Iran. In a phone conversation with KTN, Husman said his government was only producing small arms allowed by the international organizations, adding that Sudan has not broken any arms laws. The deputy ambassador said Sudan has since forwarded their concerns regarding Israel to the UN Security Council, who are expected to reach a solution. The Sudanese Minister for Information had threatened retaliation on Israel, a move that would see neighbors like Kenya destabilized by this clandestine war.
To wrap up, Ethiopia has marked the 5th Flag Day with various assortments. The event that took place at the Addis Ababa Stadium was attended by senior government officials, resident ambassadors, diplomats, Ethiopian military officers, and residents of the city. Addressing the huge gathering, the Deputy Prime Minister called on the public to seize the moment to redouble efforts towards creating a prosperous and democratic Ethiopia.
The three stripes, green, yellow and red, the national symbol of Ethiopia, has been dedicated to inspire all Ethiopians in real meaning of flag to strengthen the unity of nations and nationalities of Ethiopia for centuries. To stress the meaning of the flag, the government of Ethiopia endorsed a special day designated to be a national flag day since 2008. The 5th National Flag Day, celebrated under the theme Lifting Our Flag Up, we will realize the Renaissance devised by Prime Minister Meles. And this was how the day has been marked at the national level in the National Stadium. Speaking on the occasion, Deputy Prime Minister Demek Mekonnen urged this generation to keep the honor of the flag by eradicating poverty.
While we celebrate Flag Day, we are particularly ensuring our commitment, like our forefathers, not only to defend the independence of our country, but also to build a nation free of backwardness and poverty, and one where democracy is prevailing.
Abadullah Gameda, Speaker of the House of People Representatives in his part, said the 5th National Flag Day would be a tool to strengthen the relations of the people more than ever, with the expressions of the commitment to realize the visions of the late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi.
ተደጋግሞ እንደተገለጸው ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር መለስ የኢትዮጵያ ህዳሴ መሐንዲስ ናቸው። እናም ልፋታቸው
As it has been mentioned, Prime Minister Meles is an engineer of Ethiopian Renaissance. His endeavors would also be pursued in our Renaissance journey. His contribution has a special place in every of us. Our flag entails not only our history, heroism, but also a sign of the nation's equality and the existence of strong unity.
On the day, it is manifested by the participants that the National Flag Day is playing a role to strengthen the ability of the nations, nationalities and people of Ethiopia to preserve their unity on the basis of mutual respect, communality and equality.
የአምስት ዓመቱን የእድገትና ትራንስፎርሜሽን እቅድ
ከመንግስታችን ጎን ተሰልፈን
ለመፈጸም
የድርሻችንን ለማበርከት በሀገራችን ሰንደቅ ዓላማ ፊት ዳግም ቃላችንን እናድሳለን።
The celebration has been concluded by singing the national anthem and waving the flag at the same time all over the country in all Ethiopian embassies and consulate offices abroad.
Well, that's how we saw it on today's edition of Inside Africa. Thanks for your time and keep watching Afrique Media for more news.